Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks very much for joining us at our 5th Live at the Dig. I'm Chris Crowley, Public Engagement with Research Officer here at the University of Aberdeen. And you join us again at the site of our dig, where we're looking to excavate what remains of the grammar school for King's College. And today I'm starting at the tomb of Bishop Elphinstone, who founded King's College. Well, actually, it's not his tomb. Everyone makes that mistake. His tomb was originally inside King's College Chapel, but it was destroyed by the Reformers in 1560 at the time of the Reformation. And this is an early 20th century reinterpretation of what they think his tomb might actually have looked like. The story goes that when it was commissioned, it was originally meant to sit inside the chapel, but it was actually too big, too wide to go in the doors. I don't think that's entirely true. It does fit in the doors, but it would probably have looked a little out of keeping in the chapel, so it's sat out here and is one of the key features that we see here on King's Lawn. But if you join me now, we'll head towards the King's Dig site itself. Now, when we started the excavation, we were fairly confident in what we were going to find, and we have got a lot of finds. But the story has been a lot more complicated than we first thought. We've got earlier layers than we thought we should have had. We've got rubble and demolition layers that we didn't necessarily anticipate finding. But what we can be certain of is that we've got an awful lot of finds. In fact, more finds than we thought we would have found. And the finds themselves are really interesting because they allow us to date what was going on, they allow us to interpret the site, and they have a very interesting life after the excavation, what happens to the finds, and indeed who takes care of them. And to help us answer that, here is my colleague, Neil Curtis, who's Head of Museums for the University of Aberdeen. So Neil, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what happens to the finds after the excavation.
Yes, I mean obviously immediately after they're found they'll be studied by the people who are working on them immediately, and then that'll lead hopefully to publication and further dissemination so everybody can find out more about it. But that of course doesn't leave the question answered of what actually happens to the finds. Because these are things that you don't want to throw away. They're going to, they are important in themselves. They're interesting. They might be used in exhibitions. They might be used in further study. People might want to come back and actually challenge the interpretations and tell a completely different story.
Interpretations move on.
Yep.
Scientific techniques change.
Yes, indeed. I mean, there have been a number of recent techniques appeared over the last 10, 15 years, which just wouldn't have been thought of before. So, in another couple of decades, might be able to find all sorts of other stuff.
Might reinterpret our site yet again. Well, thanks very much, Neil.
Yeah.
Well, if you join us, we'll head into the dig site itself, where of course we'll meet my colleague, Gordon Noble, the Senior Lecturer in Archaeology at the University, and we'll find out more about what's actually been found today. And of course you join us actually in the height of May Festival. May Festival started earlier today, and hundreds of people have descended onto campus. They've been welcomed by a great sun. I would love to say that the sun always shines in the northeast, perhaps not always, but people have been enjoying coming along, seeing the finds and learning what's happening. So if you come round this way, sure. And just for today, we in fact have a surprise guest joining us on the King's Dig today, none other than Sir Tony Robinson. Welcome, it's good to meet you.
And very good to meet you. I was just actually being asked the question, are there likely to be any more time teams? The answer is, I can't see it myself. There just isn't the desire amongst television companies. Sadly and unfortunately, I'd love to be doing this every year for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's great for you to visit our very own time team, I guess.
It is your very own time team, and you've actually got stuff. I mean,
we do.
When I knew I was coming up here to see a site right outside the university, I'm thinking there's going to be nothing there. It's all robbed out. I've seen this time and time again. But as soon as I got up here, we got excited, or at least I got excited about, this is a wall, isn't it? Can we go around this way? I'm thinking all the time you're talking, I'm thinking, this is a wall, this is a wall, this is what you come find. Yeah. But then I was fooled just like, I think it's fair to say you were fooled.
Yes.
It's a water pipe.
It's a water pipe, yeah, so that was our low of earlier on this week. But we are getting walls this week, which is just
today, you said?
Just today, yeah.
Right over there, you see those three bottoms. Beyond those three bottoms, you've actually got
a
proper
solid granite wall.
Running in this direction.
Yeah. Running in this direction.
I think it would be fair to say you're quite right. Our fear was nothing. Yeah, that we weren't going to find anything, and people had worked here before and said, oh, you won't find anything. And yet, a few test pits indicated quite early on that we were going to get a lot of fines. In fact, I think we ran out of fines bags at the test pits.
We have done, yeah.
What's the oldest finds that you've had so far on this site?
Well, we've had some prehistoric flints, so going back thousands of years.
Yeah, but that's just wandering
but we've
nutcases.
actually
Really proper. I didn't say that.
13th century, so we've got some 13th century pottery.
But that's much earlier than all this stuff.
And conventional wisdom has it that there was no settlement in this area prior to Bishop Ilfrison founding both the college and the borough of Barony in 1495.
But is there any evidence at all that's been found prior to this that there could have been something?
There is one bit of skeletal evidence, which bizarrely was found in the chapel, almost directly beneath the altar itself, which dated to
11th century to the 13th
I love that
century.
phrase, skeletal evidence. Do you?
Bones! Yes, you're right. Sorry. So no, it dated to the 11th century, completely anomalous.
So
Is it
crazily, there could be stuff down here which is earlier than people have always imagined there would be.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of archaeology, is that it can really overturn some of these traditional narratives about these great sites and places.
It allows us to put a lot more flesh back in the bones.
Yeah.
But also, I missed on to the next thing. Also, we were just talking about this, but when you get a great big site like this, it doesn't often make sense that there wouldn't have been anything at all here before, does it? If you build a big thing like that, it's likely that topographically it's going to be somewhere robust, somewhere that's interesting. So it probably does make sense.
To a certain extent, it might be a reflection of development in the city centre, or city, old Aberdeen. You look up and down the high street, it's 17th, 18th, 19th century, there just hasn't been the development here.
Yeah.
So, in other words, there hasn't been the developer-funded archaeology, so the story hasn't been told yet.
Yeah,
Perhaps it's a reflection of
Yeah,
that.
that's very interesting. Yeah.
So, 2 days left. Hopefully, we get some more nice discoveries to make.
That's supposed to be my line. So, just 2 days left.
Well, I think today we have to leave it to Sir Tony to sign us off.
Just 2 days left. We've got a wall going from there right down to there. Could it be as old as we think? We'll tell you tomorrow.